So yeah, I'm not quite sure why this graphic novel got made. Hey everyone, and welcome to Before You Read, the series where I talk about things that I read or watch with my eyeballs and tell you if you should read it or not, or if I recommend it or not. So first off, we're gonna talk about what I like, what I didn't like, and then my recommendation at the end. So let's get right into it. Today we're gonna be looking into Katara and the Pirate Silver, which is a one-off graphic novel. First off, let's talk about what I liked. So what I like from this is that it's a solid graphic novel. There's nothing wrong with it inherently in terms of the plotting, the storyline. Nothing really is wrong with it. We do get the artist who did the Imbalance comics. It looks like they're kind of switching over the style from what we had at the beginning of the graphic novel Avatar stuff, and we're getting this new kind of art style, which is definitely a different take. The line work is a little bit different. Like I was saying before with the Imbalance comic, it's a little bit more desaturated, though I would say that this one is properly saturated as it should be, especially when this comic book takes place right in the middle of book 2, right after the events of Bitterwork, like literally one day after the events of Bitterwork, where Toph taught Aang earthbending, which is actually the catalyst for this whole plot line, because there's this dynamic of how Katara teaches Aang versus how Toph teaches Aang, and how Toph was more effective in teaching Aang in a quicker way because she taught him earthbending in a day and it took Katara a few weeks. And then so Katara's whole thing is like, I need to be more tough like Toph, and I just need me be more tough just in general. So again, the storyline I liked a lot. We met some new characters in this. We met some pirate characters who were associated with the pirates that Katara stole from in book 1. And we also get a little bit of a plot line with Aang and a Fire Nation soldier, in which Aang is trying to convince this soldier that airbenders don't suck and they weren't trying to take over the world before the genocide. And that's pretty much it. I can't say I liked too much. Like, there weren't any specific moments that were huge highlights for me. I mean, I can say, like I've been saying with the comic books over and over, they do a very good job. Faith, who wrote this one, who is the same writer from Imbalance, does a really good job of capturing the voices of the characters. I've never had an issue with that in pretty much any of the comics. I think all of the characters feel like how they're supposed to be for the most part. Now, the stuff that I didn't like. Now, it's not so much that I didn't like this element, but I'm trying to figure out why this comic book got made. And it's weird because it got the full 74 pages graphic novel length for a story that is very much a one-shot. It would have seemed like a filler episode if it actually was in the Airbender series. And I'm wondering why they're spending their efforts and their time making a comic book like this, when it really, I feel, could have fit better in the Lost Adventures comic book series, even to the point where I think that this comic book is a little bit too long for the subject matter. And those Lost Adventure comics were usually no longer than, 5 to 16 pages, around that length. And this one gets stretched out to basically being the size of its own episode, if this was its own Avatar episode. But what we get from it and what we learn from Katara, especially when this is a version of Katara that is in between the series, like we already know where Katara ends up and where she, where she goes from here. It's a really weird choice to make this, like, I think I can understand the Toph comic that's coming out, because that one is a separate thing, and it's about her and her metal bending academy and the progression of that, versus this being in the middle of the series feels very inconsequential. Like the whole thing just feels kind of weird of why they would make it. But in terms of me not liking it, I don't have anything against it, like, necessarily. I think the story is fine. I think the lesson that Katara learns is cool and everything like that. But the reason I put this in the I don't like it section is just like, it just doesn't feel like a comic that is needed, which leads me into the recommendation part of this video, in which I say you can skip it. Unless you're like a complete Avatar purist and you need to know everything that happens in the Avatar universe, or if you're really a big fan of Katara, you want to see more Katara comics, then I can maybe say that, hey, you could check this out. But honestly, even with that caveat, I would say you can skip this, because you're not really getting all that much new from this that you aren't already getting from the rest of the series. So yeah, ultimately, I think you can skip it. I think this is a skippable comic book. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. What do you guys think about this comic book, if you have read it? And as always, I'm going to be doing an After You Read live stream, so look out for that if you want to talk about the spoiler discussion of the comic book itself and the specific details and just your thoughts, and we can just hash it out over a live stream. Let me know. And I'll see you guys on the next one. You can check out more videos of Avatar here next to my face. Peace, love, and remember, be water, my friends.